Well, fine, good afternoon all. This is Patricia and our Traveling for History. Found another one of these history markers, and so we're talking about this building right here. So, and this building right here is the one I'm going to be aiming at. This is the ice house before being moved back to its original location. Across the stream from the homestead is a section of land Morrill bought in 1855. I'm talking about Justin Morrill. Early photos show the bank cleared of brush and a nursery for young fruit trees. Archaeological excavations indicate an early ice house foundation on the site. The building here today was restored to this location in 1991 and houses an exhibit on ice harvesting. 2 of 3 original bridges remain. The grass-covered one by the carriage barn and the stone bridge that lies below a small pool. Note the water gushing through an old millstone. A footbridge rebuilt in 2009 on its original stone abutments leads to the ice house. In 1938, the homestead property and its contents were purchased from the Morrill family by a Catholic priest for use as a boys' school. Due to financial difficulties, he sold the ice house, a small barn, and the remaining property within a year. The ice house was rediscovered in 1989 on a nearby property by summer guide Andrew Wackling. Wackling's discovery and interest in the ice house was the beginning of a complicated restoration process. And here we can see there is a map of where we are. I'm not sure if turning it sideways will help at all, but maybe. Says that you are here. All right, so let's carry on. This was the bridge that was rebuilt in 2009 on the original stone abutments. Maybe it feels a little spongy in parts. Oh. That's the millstone right in front of us. All right, let's continue on to the ice house itself. It is covered with moss right here. It is slick on the bridge in places, so when you come here, just be mindful of that. I always love when buildings are labeled. How about you? I love the view. You see how thick the door is. It keeps the heat out, and the, as I recall, ice is stored in sawdust. But actually, I think they're going to tell us this process in here. Ooh. And there are rocks right there. And right here, too. The ice house represents yet another feature of progressive farming that Justin Morrill incorporated into the design of his homestead. As part of his master plan, Morrill had water diverted from the brook into an ice pond located uphill from the farm buildings. In summer, the pond fed irrigation pipes and a fountain in the formal garden. In winter, the harvest of ice was skidded downhill, and the blocks of ice were stored between thick layers of sawdust in the ice house. At some later date, the structure was removed to a nearby farm. The Vermont Division for Historic Preservation replaced the ice house here based on archaeological data and completed its restoration in 1991. Morrill's architectural journals offered many design schemes for ice houses, all of which considered 2 essential features: insulation and ventilation. Sawdust packed into the space between the inside walls and the exterior sheathing provided most of the insulation. In this location, the ice house gained additional insulation from the ground as it was built into the bank. Ventilation at the top allowed warm air to escape, whilst the wood floor set atop cobblestones allowed for both air circulation and the flow of meltwater away from the stack of ice blocks. Well, that's why there's the stones on the floor, isn't it now? This photo here says ice cutting operation, McIndoe Falls, Vermont, courtesy of the Vermont Historical Society. Ice, amenity, necessity, or commodity. An editorial in the American Agriculturist in 1863 stated that, quote, ice is not merely a luxury, but almost a necessity in the household, unquote. As more and more homes, including Morrill's, were built with stoves or central coal furnaces or heat, perishable foods required mechanical cold storage. City people could buy ice for their refrigerators. The season ran from May to October. In Boston in 1855, delivery of 15 pounds a day cost $2 per month, or $8 for the season, at a time when a laboring man could earn $1 a day. Ice harvesting grew to a major business throughout the North as a growing urban population consumed hundreds of tons each summer in every major city in the country. In rural areas, people who needed ice in the summer had to harvest their own and store it in an ice house. A structure 10 foot by 10 foot, was considered adequate for a family's needs. Farmers who needed cold storage for their fruit harvest would need more space. A full-scale dairy operation, such as the Billings Farm in Woodstock, needed considerable space for ice storage in addition to storage room for milk, cream, butter, and cheese. Commercial ice companies built huge warehouses to store ice for summer sale. There are some devices. The one in front of you there is the Polar refrigerator with filter and water cooler, maintains the preeminence. I remember when I was out west at Ruby, Arizona, I think it was 1891 when Tucson, Arizona could make ice blocks. And at that location at Ruby, that was a mining town up in the mountains, as you can imagine. I saw and filmed a machine that made blocks of ice. Very interesting. Ice cutting, courtesy again of the Vermont Historical Society. Tools of the trade, tongs to pick up and carry an ice block, just as this man is doing in this photograph here. Ice cutting operation in Williamsville, Vermont. Here's all the photos of the courtesy of the Vermont Historical Society. Very interesting. This is Rutland, Vermont for ice cutting operations. The ice harvest. The harvest of ice required the same steps whether it was for use at a family farm, a substantial orchard or dairy operation, or for storage in warehouses for eventual shipment to cities. First, a snow scraper plowed the ice clear. Then, rows were marked out with an ice marker or plow. Each blade cut 1/4 inch, resulting in a 2-inch groove from each stroke. Commercial harvesters would use a horse-drawn model with several blades mounted 20 inches apart. 2 New England companies dominated the market for ice tools: W.T. Wood and Company, makers of this hand-operated marker, and Stafford and Holden Manufacturing Company in Barre, Vermont. Okay, which one's which? Did they tell us which one's which? Once marked, the blocks were cut through with an ice saw. The first row of blocks was sunk out of the way to form a channel for floating the ice blocks out of the pond. Floats were moved with a pike pole to the shore, where they were removed with tongs. Okay, so this is the pike pole right here. It's quite long, as you can see. I think this is the snow scraper. Because it's not really clear which one's which. And I showed you the tongs already, right there. Fascinating. This seems like it might be more like a, well, I don't know. It's doesn't have which. Ice harvest on the Ottaquechee River, Woodstock, Vermont, circa 1910, courtesy of the Woodstock Historical Society. Interesting tools, though. Fascinating. I'll take a picture of this in hopes that someone will want to read that later. Alright, well, here are a few more bits and bobs of information. Well, this is Patricia and Traveling for History. I really enjoyed learning more about harvesting ice here in Vermont, and hope you appreciated it too. So until I see you again, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. This is Patricia, I'm Traveling for History, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.